Baby Point, Babby Point, whatever. This is Lambton, Babby Point. I don't know. Located right here in Toronto, right along the Humber River. To dig deeper, we'll start over in the northern border of the neighborhood and make our way from there. Over here, making up the northern border of the neighborhood, is the street of Dundas Street, which runs right near the train tracks, situated just north, outside the neighborhood limits. Just south, right along Dundas, is in the neighborhood, however, and it's meh. Buildings and stuff right next to a major street near the train tracks. It's not too nice, relatively speaking, of course. Perhaps the grittiest place in the neighborhood. At least that's how it looks. If you venture down and south from there, you reach the only school in the neighborhood. Warren Park Junior Public School. There are some other schools right near the neighborhood, though. Around the Warren Park School are sort of similar, dense arrangements to along Dundas in pockets, albeit not as dense and certainly quieter at any rate. The majority of places there, the orange that makes up the northern portion of the neighborhood, are homes in one form or another. Some are nice and some, seemingly most, actually, are not as nice, relatively speaking. On the whole, though, this area is just kind of different variations of middle class. Nothing too special by any means. Just up, literally up, and south of there, however, beyond this patch of green, is one of the richest areas in the whole city, looking down upon the lovely green of Etienne Brule Park, which has a trail that goes along the Humber River, and is perhaps one of the most tranquil parks in the whole city. This trail and the green space around it, as well as the gorgeous, extremely expensive homes that look down on it, are also nice and serene. Seemingly so far, yet right near a lot of the things you'd want to be near. To be fair, though, you're not exactly close to as much as you would be if you were farther east, towards the center of the city. The nice trail and green space also stretches north to the more modest areas too. But only the rich people get to look down on it, it seems. As you get a little farther away from the park in some places, or at least from this area, it's still rich, or at the very least well off financially, most everywhere shown in blue. Although not as rich as this area, which isn't really saying a lot since this area is more or less the pinnacle of wealth in the neighborhood. Kind of, sort of. If you go a bit south, you reach Bloor Street along the southern border of the neighborhood, which, similarly to Dundas, is one of the largest streets in the whole city, everyone. This area is a great place to be near, on the whole, since, as well as upscale condos, there's somewhat of a shopping area that begins in the southeast corner of the neighborhood, along the border with Jane Street, and stretches along east from there. Speaking of Jane, which makes up the eastern border along the southern 2/3 of the neighborhood or so, although it's probably Bloor with the most stuff, and much of Jane is residential, Jane Street's got some stuff too, scattered around. Speaking of Bloor again, another thing of note is that if you go along the street just a bit east, you reach the city's most famous and most acclaimed park, which is High Park, and is certainly a great place to be near. Although High Park's for a whole other video.